probably just gave her that.
Oh, we just do that. This is our basic. It's really very basic.
This is perfect. This sounds great.
So. It was the last couple of days trying to think. So it's kind of fun. It's last night I was here till 9, so I got back at 6. It's getting tall stuff. It's like 100 plus years. Like, what is it?
We are a person yet, so if we're sitting there, you're sitting.
I'm
Can I just say, for you guys speaking, that their recorder is very, very, very quiet. So for both us and the recording, if you could just make sure you speak very loudly so we can hear you.
We're gonna do our best.
We don't want to misrep you guys on accident for the news. So
Do you want us to use
Okay.
this then?
you can just leave that there.
Oh, it'll just, okay.
Yep. But just make sure you guys speak loudly for the recording too, because it can be very quiet.
Hi, everybody. I'm Darla Ratzak. I'm the Director of Student Services, Safety, and Compliance for our school district. And we're going to talk a little bit about our transportation today. So I'm going to turn it over to transportation. If you have questions, they should be able to answer you. And if not, we'll try to get the answers that we need for you. So I'll turn it over to introduce yourselves probably.
Hi, everybody. My name's Alexis. I am the transportation manager for Williston. We just took over, Harlow's just took over the contract in June, actually. So we're brand new to Williston. We are working diligently on getting everything together, and we're super excited to be here in Williston providing transportation.
My name is Stacy Signeri, and I'm actually the transportation manager down in Watford City. So I'm here just to kind of help Alexis and support her and any questions that she may have regarding this.
My name is Ken Bischoff. I'm the Director of Operations for Harlow's, so I cover all of North Dakota and then probably about 50% of South Dakota. So I've been here quite a bit too and trying to help them get set up with the operations, everything from back end of the shop to routing to employees, to get everything on board.
So Alexis, do you want to tell them a little bit about what you've started and how things are going to start looking and how the communication is going to be sent out?
Yep. So what we've been focused on right now is setting routes for the school year. Those are still in the works. We just about have them done. The next step in the process, a lot of you may have seen that we put out a registration request for transportation. We have had a great success in transportation requests. We have hundreds of requests that have come in and they have been awesome. We have been going down the list and slowly are working to put those requests into assigning them to routes. We have a new software that the school district had purchased and it's called Route Finder. With that, it helps us create the routes. We're able to assign students to the routes. And soon enough, in the works, we will have eventually communications for the parents to be able to have an app on their phone that will show them where the students are on the bus. That is something that we may not be able to implement this year, but hopefully in the years to come.
And I can kind of add a little bit to that too. The school district invested in a lot of technology for our busing, and that was previous to us getting into the contract here. So what we're doing right away is adding the primary pieces, which is basically our routing software and understanding that and getting kids in. And then as we go throughout the year, we're going to add the technology to the buses. GPS is going to be something that will be added to all buses, which is phenomenal because then you can track the bus. So not only does that help our dispatchers understand where the buses are at, but like Alexis said, we can add technology to students, parents, so that you can actually check where that bus is. Is it running late? Is it on time? Is it 3 blocks away from your home or your pickup points? So again, technology on the bus is going to be pretty good. Camera systems, obviously we'll have camera systems installed. And then we're also in the process of installing pads, and that'll be throughout the year, that will identify the route for the drivers. So that really helps in case we have to have a sub-driver jump on. They'll have that route, and then obviously too, we can make changes on the fly. So a lot of great technology. We've only been in it 2 months here, so we are still kind of, our focus right now is making sure the buses are all DOT inspected and safe. We have drivers that have passed our training, our drug screening, our background checks, and then obviously too, defining the routes for the students. So those are our 3 priorities right now. A lot of technology to roll in throughout the year.
Do we have any questions from people in the gallery as far as what may not already be answered on the back questions that went out?
Probably one thing too that I'll add before we even start question and answer. I'm sure everybody kind of wonders too where we're at. We have 5 full-time positions that Harlow's had brought on to run the transportation location. Right now we have all 5 filled, full-time transportation manager, a dispatcher, a driver trainer, a driver tech 1 position, and a full-time lead tech. The only person that hasn't started yet is our lead tech, who will begin next week. So very happy to see that we filled all 5 positions. Our driver base is coming along really well. We are hoping to add 3 general transportation routes over last year's, and then one sped route. Yes,
So
sorry.
we'll have 12 general transportation routes for this year to start the school year. We will have 5 sped routes to start the school year as well. With how routing is going and what I'm seeing as we're trying to get students registered for buses, there are a ton of students, so I'm hoping that even throughout the school year, I'll be able to bring on some, maybe 2 more additional routes throughout the school year as well. So
It's, right now, we're learning a lot, right? Just to kind of see what we're getting from the school district, what new kids are registering to come in. And then obviously too, we don't have enough to provide for everyone, but our goal is obviously to provide routes similar to last year. You're gonna get your rural routes, your special needs routes. But then we are adding at least 3 routes inner city, and those will be K through 5.
K through 5.
And how we start the year is not how we're gonna end the year. So I do want everybody to understand of that. And I'll just kind of even a little bit of that. It's not uncommon. Every school district does change throughout the year, especially in that first month, because we'll see a lot of registrations come in after the school started. So we'll be doing our best to understand too, when we get a dump of, a lot of names coming in, say we get 1,000 names. We might route all those 1,000. We find out that 2 weeks into it that we might have a lot of these kids that aren't even riding bus. So we might find that our capacities that we had kind of planned for are 80%, 75% less. Then we might be able to open up some of those routes or extend those routes to get more kids. So I do want everybody to understand it's going to be a learning process for us. Software that we've installed now, or that we didn't have last year, is going to help us tremendously with that. And that's probably all I've got. I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understands it's going to be fluid. We're going to try to get better every day.
Oh, we know.
It's a great question. What we're doing right now is we've pretty much got everybody that we're going to route right now in our systems. All the routes are pretty close to completion. The ones that we're working on most are inner city. We will be sending out email notifications mid-week next week, so probably Wednesday, Thursday. Those will go directly to you, so be sure you're watching your emails. We're going to use social media, work with the school district to let you know when those routes have been sent out or emailed out. So you'll get notification that way. That will give you stop locations, pickup times, that type of stuff, and what about bus numbers.
Is it possible to have a child taken to the ARC after school?
Right now,
You guys, or?
Right now, we don't have a stop that goes to the ARC, but that's not to say that there won't be one in the future. I know that a lot of parents utilize the ARC as, a stop for their kids to hang out after school. In the future, that would be something that I would like to implement, if available. So that's a great question, and
Kind of out of towners and,
Sure.
I just have this hour window
Yep,
and seasonal hours.
I completely understand that, yep, I completely understand that. That is something that we'll take into discretion,
Absolutely.
for sure, so, okay, thank you for your input on that.
Are there any in-town pickup locations for those of us that got, where we live in city and we got assigned county, like Missouri Ridge School? Or are we stuck driving our kids out to school?
So right now, we are implementing in-town routes. We have about 3 that will be in town. Where those locations are exactly, I verbally can't, we have it on a map, in our routing software. So those students that are in those locations, the parents will be getting notification that their kids are on a route for in town. And we're hoping that throughout the school year, being able to implement a couple more routes as well.
So we filled out the transportation request a couple of times already, we haven't received any responses, is that just we
Yep.
not on a route or what's?
No, so you'll receive a response whether you're on a route or not. We will be sending out responses if you're not on a route. I don't wanna leave people, without any idea of what's going on. Right now, our main focus has been creating the routes and importing the data so that we can get students registered. Once we have those students registered, we're hoping that next week is when we'll be sending out notice of where your kids will be at. I know that's really close to school, but school's starting and I completely empathize with you on that. It's just where we're at right now with it being new and implementing new software and stuff, we are, working with what we have, so.
I have a question. Okay, so I have 3 grandkids.
Okay.
That I watch all the time. 4th grade, 6th grade, high school. If you have like one route, do they pick all the kids up and she'll say transport them? Or would there be separate buses? Do you know that yet? Because one's at Missouri Ridge, one's at the Bogdan, one's.
Right, and again with that too, right now we're K through 5.
Yeah.
So that's the parameters that we're working with. And a lot of times when we develop routes, buses are designated for schools. So again, once we start adding, we would have middle school routes, for example, or high school routes, and specific buses assigned to those. So there are times in a lot of communities, you'll have multiple buses going to the same section of town. May not make a lot of sense, but
Yeah, well, it's tough from the country to the city.
it is.
in the
Yeah,
winter.
rural is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We're hoping that, our routes this year will mimic a lot of what was last year, except by adding, 3 new routes. So
Yep.
that's what we've been trying to put our main focus. Obviously, with the changes, the schools have changed too, as far as, the different stuff. So there will be changes that are made, but we're trying to keep everything as the same as much as possible from last year for the routes that were before.
It's tough. And you can't get
Yeah,
way, where we're at, way out there into the city. There's time to get out there, right?
yep.
Okay. Yes.
So my daughter is in 6th grade. She went to Missouri Ridge last year. We live out of city limits. And now she would be in town. You guys aren't doing 6th grade at all.
We are only doing K through 5 right now. Missouri Ridge did change their grades to 5th grade. Eventually down the line, we would like to bring in middle school and high school. As it stands right now, we're keeping it as close to what it was last year or this year.
She was on the bus route last year though,
In 5th grade, yes.
to Missouri Ridge, but now
Yep.
she's in town and we live out of town.
Yep.
So if there's a route that goes out there, it won't get her either.
It's just gonna be K through 5 this time.
Are there any rural pickup locations or is it just address specific pickups for those people out of town, out of city limits?
It'll be similar to what it was last year with different.
If it was.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So last year there were different pickup locations. They were group stops. So there was, like a group stop in Fendi Estates. There was a group stop at Dakota Ridge Apartments. Similar to, that's what we're implementing this year as well, our group stops. Now, for the sped students in McKinney-Vento, those will be door to door, which is what they were last year as well. Yeah.
Sorry, did you say it's only K through 5?
Correct, yes,
Even out of town people that were picked up before?
correct, K through 5.
Why did you guys decide on that, or who made the decision on going K through 5?
School district obviously is giving us some parameters to follow, and it's based off of total registrations and capacity. So again, too, some of those rules might be something that we can look at as we start getting into it too. If we find that sixth grader and a third grader live together and they don't meet, but then you also have to have that additional time to get to another school. So it's really school-based for the most part until we have more capacity, more buses.
Yep.
And like I said, we want to add that, absolutely.
Yeah, we obviously want to service all kids. How it stands is we have we have our priorities that are McKinney-Vento and SPED students. And then we have the youngest students up through. As it stands, going K through 5, we are maxed out on our bus routes.
How are we looking with bus drivers?
Actually, our driver pool is developing and it has been very positive. In Williston, we've had a very good response for drivers. Biggest thing for us right now is getting a full license and training. So as it stands right now, we have names with every route, so we have the routes filled as long as everything kind of continues as is. So we're in the process. We've got a little less than 2 weeks, and a couple individuals are still training, and they will be testing. So we're hopefully full with routes, which is fantastic. And then we have probably another 10 drivers in the pipeline. So we're hoping obviously fill routes and then work to get more activity drivers because Williston really does have a very busy activity base.
We do. Yep, that will be, that's another one of our focuses is the activities. We have a ton of sports that we need to service as well. And we've had a good turnout for getting activity drivers as well.
Are they coming from the same pool, or are you taking like some drivers that are part of the Harlow system to Williston?
So I can answer that too. We tried to convert as many drivers from Williston Public Schools to Harlow's employees. So we want to make sure that they still have opportunities for jobs. And after that, it's been a lot of our own recruiting that's brought in new applicants. We have full-time recruiters, and so we use many different medias to get applicants. But we're finding that that's pushed a lot. If we get short, the nice thing about Harlow's is we have many locations in North Dakota. Many of those are west. Where you'll see us flex drivers from somebody like Stacy's location is a lot of activities, so if we need additional activity help, she's got a driver pool there. We'll move drivers around to make sure that they're filled. So that does give us a lot of flexibility. But I've been very impressed with what Williston has brought to us in applicants and people that are showing up and they do want to work. So it's been fantastic. Just got to keep that momentum going.
Are there any particular perks to being a bus driver with Harlow's?
Summer's off. No,
We do have sign-on bonuses for employees, for drivers that are recruited to Harlow's. There is a sign-on bonus. Their years of service, if they have their CDL and if they have endorsements, that is also we have more incentives for that as well. We are still taking in more drivers too, because the more drivers we have, the more routes we can create, so.
Yeah, and Harlow's has, is it $35 an hour? Started?
It's $34 an hour. We have an
So
attendance and
35.50.
safety.
Yep,
Yep.
so you can make up to $35.50 first year driving, and that's actually pretty decent. We have AM and PM routes available, and also activities that we have available. Referral bonuses, we've got some health and some incentives, not like full-time, because it is part-time. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of flexibility that Harlow's does offer, and we're a company that's been doing this for a long time, so we make sure we take care of our providing safe drivers for your kids is our number one priority. And so background checks, honestly, very few people that apply probably actually get to be hired on as a driver. Not only criminal background, but obviously driving history. So we're very particular on who we put behind the wheel. And drug screens are mandatory. Random pool is something that they're in. So like I said, safety is a big piece for us. I think that it's a pretty good part-time job, you know, so if you've got stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, retired, it's a perfect fit. Very good paying per hour, follow the school schedule, and you've got your summers off for the most part. We do have opportunities like activities that kind of can fill in, but if they want to work just kind of that school year, we're very happy with that.
What about bringing children with you on the bus?
It's an option. Yep, a lot of our school districts in western North Dakota have done that. They've been very successful. Stacy's location, Dickinson, so if you're a stay-at-home, you've got kids versus paying for daycare, come to work for us and you bring your kids with you. We see a lot more of that. Used to be a retired base, was your driver pool. Stacy, how many?
90% of my driver pool is at home moms.
And they do a great job.
So, he was at Missouri Ridge, and then when it changed to an elementary school, they told us that there was gonna be busing because we were outside city limits. That if they're after 5th grade, there's no busing.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that information.
Well, it says right here on the website,
Yeah.
like it says that I live outside city limits, my family receive transportation services, and it says yes, it doesn't say anything about
Okay.
ages.
K through 5.
No, nothing about ages.
Okay, so we can bring that up and try to address that. I mean, like I said, good news to us. Where is that?
I just Googled it, willistonschools.org.
It's on the district website.
Okay. And again, we're 2 months in, trying to figure things out. We're just kind of trying to follow what we've been asked to do, and we're going to try to provide as many people. So if that's something the school district would like us to do, we're going to do everything we can.
So who would we need to talk to about that?
I will have that conversation.
We were told that the rural area would be serviced for buses, and I agree with her, it didn't say the K through 5.
The one thing you're going to have to understand too is, you know, the registrations per school capacity on the buses, we're going to, unfortunately, there's got to be a line somewhere.
I believe when that question was being responded to, it was in a matter of, yes, we had rural routes last year. Yes, we have rural routes this year. The specifications on whether it was K through 5 or K through 12 was not on that response. So that might be where that,
Because it's
where
tough
that,
to try to,
I completely understand. I think we should be proud of where Williston's going with this, because as it was before the two school districts merged together, there was no busing at all in Williston.
out in the rural area.
So, and we had rural, so we're bringing in, we're bringing in in-town busing as well, and we're trying to accommodate everybody.
I think that's great, but from what the district website said, we've been thinking all summer that this has been taken care of, and now 2 weeks
Now
before
we find out
school,
it's not.
we're like, okay, now we have to readjust everything that we thought was taken care of. It just seems a bit unfair.
Well, again, like I said, we'll address that after the meeting. I mean, and if there is a change or if there's something else that we can do, we certainly will. Again, too, we just got to make sure that we're following and we're asked to do so much, and we're going to try to get as much in
Are
as
you
we can.
guys just the busing? You guys aren't any of the school board stuff, you're just the busing?
I'm the only district person here.
And so I don't know the answer to that because I didn't know that either, so. So we will check into it, honestly, that's why I'm here, there's questions that we don't have answers for, we will find them.
Right.
If we have a discrepancy, we're gonna make sure that we figure out something for that. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll have to look into what was said and how it was gonna be taken care of. I know the ultimate goal down the line, I remember when hurdles came, it was ultimately we want to bus as many kids as we can in our district.
We will
Now,
offer.
we need to start somewhere, and I agree with that, but where it was decided, we will find that out, because I don't have that answer.
So are in-town kids being bused to schools?
In-town kids,
K through
right
five.
now, you're just taking to the rural schools, right, or are you doing any in-town?
No. Again, we got K through 5, inner city, we're going to have 3 buses. But 3 buses will not cover all inner city K through 5. Just
Is that just addresses in the inner city to schools inner city, or is it inner city addresses to schools in rural?
It's drop-off points, correct?
Oh,
Yeah, pick up and drop off.
points.
Okay.
Inside city limits?
One of the first questions that I had asked is if, for all of us that are kind of outside of town, if they could do an arc drop at the arc, and said maybe it could be a possibility too. So it just got a little later, came in.
Okay, so I'm confused, sorry. So the 3 buses that you have inside town is for inside town kids to ride to the inside town schools?
Correct.
Okay, so,
Inner city busing, yes, is what we're asked to provide.
okay, so my question to you then is, we had busing in District 8, and you have now taken away all of our schools, and now we're having to come inside to school, so why is our busing getting taken away from us as well?
I just want you to know, I'm representing the district, I don't have the answers for this. If I don't have the answers, I will find the answers. It may not be what we're looking for, but I will get the answers, because I'm not gonna make any commitments or make any decisions here or answer questions that may get me in trouble. So I just wanna make sure I'm giving you the accurate information. And what Harlow's is working with the district, if there's something that was missed or if there's something that's a disconnect somewhere, we will figure that out and we'll fix the problem. But we need to make sure that we're clear, because we're taking the questions from this meeting and bringing it to the main administration. So we need to make sure that we're sharing your voice to the table. That's why this meeting is being held today.
So we live in Girlville, it's right outside city limits. She went to Missouri Ridge last year. I actually enrolled her in Ray, and they have a bus that comes to Carrollville. That's a lot further drive. Is there any way that that could come up later, where there could be a route from Williston that comes in just outside of Williston city limits?
I mean, again, like I said earlier, I mean, everything is possible. I mean, it just depends on what we're asked. You know, the school district is gonna give us direction on who they want us, first and foremost. So that's not for Harlow's to decide. So I do want everybody to understand that. We are a contractor working for the school district, and we're gonna do what the school district asks us to do, to the best of our ability. And the only thing that restricts us being able to give everybody what they want is people and assets. So again, many things come into play. Our ridership numbers are gonna be a big part of what we can offer too. We might find that first couple of weeks that our rider numbers are much less than we have registered, and we can open it up some more. So, like I said, we'll do as much as we can with software provided. It is really good. It will allow us to do a lot of things we haven't been able to do in the past, probably. So, like I said, it will continue to evolve.
Okay, kind of step in here. My name is Paula Langford. I'm the new Director of Public Relations. I'm a week into the job at seeing some of the things of why there was a need for the position. And this may be one of those things. Looking at the FAQs and hearing the information today as far as what may not be presented in the FAQs the same as what you're hearing today, or it may not be worded the most clear way, those types of things. I think it looks like we do have a little bit of shoring up to do in that communication, those FAQs, and getting information out to parents, but certainly bringing back your questions from today that have created confusion and stress as far as if you live out of town and bringing your kids in. But just looking at those FAQs and hearing what's talked about here, just wanted to acknowledge that certainly needs to be some shoring up of that, and that would be a priority for me.
Thanks, Paula.
So I guess just for clarity, because I don't want to misrep anybody here, we got 3 city routes, 12 rural routes. Is that correct? Or was it 12 total?
There's 12 total general transportation routes.
Okay, so 9 rural.
3 intercity.
Okay, and for the 3 city ones, is there any priority between going, because there's 6 or 7 elementary schools? Is there a priority, or are these buses gonna be splitting up, like these two buses will go to Hagen and Lewis and Clark, one bus will go to Bakken and.
I can answer that. What determines the routes on the intercity busing is based on the student data that we've received from the school district that is merged over and in conjunction with the transportation requests from the parents. And so it's looking at where's the best place to service the students in based on where their location is. So if there's a group of students over here, we're gonna go to this location to service this area.
Is there a focus, like, is there a priority of which school might see more kids, or, because you obviously said there's a lot of need for it and there's a lot of different schools, so like, is there gonna end up being a certain couple of schools that get favored over the others for transportation?
No, there's not. The boundaries of the elementary schools in town vary greatly. There's not quite any definitive boundaries for the inner city schools, correct? And so it really all varies. So there's not a priority of, oh, we're only going to service busing to this school or this school. It's just based on what has the mass amount of students per location.
Okay. And then, so the other 9 routes will be outside of, or in the rural areas, and then, so they are going just to Missouri Ridge and Round Prairie? And Garden Valley?
Yeah, and those rural routes, we have tried to mimic from last year as much as possible.
Okay.
As far as where the locations are for the pickup and drop off spots.
Just out of curiosity, last year there was 8 buses that ran like Missouri Ridge, Garden Valley route. So you have the same number of buses. Eventually, would it be a possibility to have the drop-off spot like at Missouri Ridge, which is what we previously had, to bus kids to, like the middle school kids to town? High school, we've always been on our own, but middle school was always provided. But I wonder if there's a point that could be a
Yeah, I mean,
still have to do something
we
like that.
definitely want to utilize our buses as much as we can to service as many students as possible. So, I'm trying to make sure, we're trying to make sure when school starts that we are servicing the priority that we've been given. And from there, I would be more than happy to service more kids at older ages or more areas for all of that. Obviously, our main priority are the students. And so we want to do that as much as possible, and service as many areas as possible and as many kids as possible. That's definitely our priority.
Are kids that are on special ed, are they gonna lose their service and do they have to refill out? Okay.
No, SPED and McKinney-Vento are our first priority.
Did they open it up to any foster kids? I do foster parenting, is it open? Who do I get a hold of? But,
Those kiddos do take priority as well.
because they didn't last year.
I think that's part of McKinney-Vento,
Yeah.
correct?
Okay.
Yep. So I know that we have a ton of, questions still up in the air, and I know that it can be frustrating, and, we're going through a lot of growing pains, and I know that Williston as a whole has gone through so many growing pains. But I just want you guys to know that I am definitely on your side, and I want to be, that person that fights for you, that fights for your kids to have busing and to make sure that everything is what you guys are hoping for. So I don't want I don't want anybody thinking that that's not our first priority, or, that we're here to fight you back and forth, but because that's not our intention at all. Our intention is definitely to provide busing to the kids that we can, okay?
I know this last year I have 4 kids, 2 that started kindergarten. The special needs bus come in, picked up my 2 older ones, but my 2 younger ones, I had to bus back and forth myself. I had to provide for them. Now, that didn't make sense to me when they're right in the yard.
Have you been in contact with Wilmac?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
And they would
That's
not
where-
allow them because they're not IEP. They're not special needs, the 2.
okay.
So they're all brothers and sisters.
That's where I get my transportation data, is through Wilmac. So.
Now, we don't want anybody to walk away here upset today. Just know that your questions that you have and your concerns will be addressed, and be watching for either Parent Square or something that we're gonna come back and give you some answers that we don't have right now. This is something that it's bigger than what we can answer in this room right now. If there are no other questions, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us if you have more questions.
Thanks, guys.
Also, it is recorded on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, so if you want to share it, I will share it, but if you want to